Ladies and gentlemen, you can add big tech to the list of entities and people and corporations and political movements that have tried to go up against President Trump only to experience unintended results. William Barr, DOJ announces broad antitrust review of big tech, pushing down shares of Facebook and Amazon, Alphabet. Okay, so the DOJ is launching a broad examination into big tech companies over fresh anti-competitive concerns. It's the strongest move towards the tech industry by Attorney General William Barr, whose growing interest in the sector could deepen regulatory pressure. Shares of Amazon, Facebook, and Alphabet. Okay, so the U.S. Department of Justice said on Tuesday that it's opening a broad antitrust review of big tech companies. While the DOJ didn't disclose specific company names, it's launching the review based on the new Washington threats from Facebook, Amazon, and Apple, according to the Wall Street Journal. The agency will examine practices of online platforms that dominate internet search, social media, and retail services. So what do you think they're going to find? They're going to find exactly what Project Veritas found out. They're going to find that there's an intense and immense social media and big tech bias towards Democrats, towards a liberal view of society, of politics, of life. And the hilarious thing is that none of these companies had to see. What they tried to say is, well, Facebook and Twitter swung the election through Russian interference. Correct the record, spent $1 million. Twitter routinely censors and suspends and bans people who are conservative. Twitter's algorithm is actually geared towards stifling and ignoring the concerns or stifling the speech of conservatives, as is Facebook. Justice Department to open broad and new antitrust review of big tech companies. I cannot, as a YouTube creator, say certain things. Just literally cannot, because I know there's an algorithm that prevents me from speaking and saying certain things. So I try to, I'm long-winded naturally, but I'm, even more so because I don't want to upset the algorithm. What took place was that Democrats had every single possible conceivable advantage politically, socially, and in terms of technology, and they have squandered everything. And President Trump, the one person, ask yourself, even if Elizabeth Warren is behind this, who is open to this or helping push this? Who benefits? The Democrats don't benefit. The Democrats don't benefit because just recently, Elizabeth Warren on breaking up big tech. This is hilarious. But just recently, a judge said, there's no evidence that social media companies from Russia were ordered by the Kremlin to buy Facebook ads. And furthermore, if Democrats really cared, they would have indicted Zuckerberg and Jack from Facebook. Investigated. Because the issue is that Russians paid for these Facebook ads that were swinging the election. That's a bunch of nonsense. It is a bunch of absolute nonsense. But here, DOJ announces broad antitrust review. Justice Department to open broad new antitrust review of big tech companies. AG Barr says tech companies need to... so this doesn't help Democrats at all. Elizabeth Warren on breaking up big tech. Ms. Warren seeks to break up companies like Amazon, Google. I'm even against that. Amazon, Facebook and Twitter are not going to be around in 5 years anyway. I don't see how you could break up. I wouldn't even want to break up Amazon, Google, or Apple. And I would just want to do away with, Facebook and Twitter won't be around because they're platforms that are diminishing in influence every second of every day. Amazon, in terms of economies of scale, it does hurt small businesses, yes, but you know what? In terms of economies of scale, you can't. It's a behemoth, And I don't know how you would break it up. Apple, I don't know how you'd break up also. Okay, they have competitors. Samsung, there are competitors. So, Microsoft. So, and Warren's thing is that, the hilarious thing is that Warren is coming from, in the name of equality, has taken, if I directly say, a billboard installed in San Francisco, paid for a camp, break up big tech. I just don't want censorship. I don't need the antitrust. If Microsoft got away with antitrust laws, I don't see how Microsoft at that moment in time was bigger or more important in the sphere of technology than any of these companies. But I just say this. Enough with the censorship. Enough with the algorithms that stifle discussion. Enough with this this almost paranoid, hysterical view of what offensive speech is. Because guess what? I find it very offensive what AOC and other representatives in Congress have stated in terms of statements that are overtly anti-Semitic. If you remove the country they're talking about, Israel, and then just put in any community, any person, any group, you would say, "My God, God needs to wake up because of this group has hypnotized the world." Could you imagine? Insert your favorite marginalized group or whatever, and instead, the representative spoke about Israel, and suddenly it wasn't offensive. It was just, and then people are like, well, what is this? I explain in my Jerusalem Post op-ed below. In the pinned comment. If being offended is enough to stifle one's speech, then why is it that the left never gets stifled? Why is it that the left hardly ever gets censored, suspended, or whatever? I deleted my Twitter account and my Facebook account. Because it's a bunch of nonsense. It's this cyber theocracy where people just preach and judge and condemn. And that's it. And that's all they do. But this is really interesting. William Barr is like, Elizabeth Warren's coming at this from the vantage point that it's going to help Democrats, which is hilarious. It's going to hurt them. Ms. Warren has called out the way they did because they wanted to. Officials at top companies had previously signaled they believe they can police themselves, and they are highly unlikely to accept any sort of government regulation without costly or bruising fight. I actually don't think that government should regulate these companies because government's dysfunctional in its own right. You had government going after President Trump. You had the FBI. So if you have government regulating these agencies, you have the corrupt intelligence officials that much closer to your social media, app or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, it goes both ways. Give me your thoughts below. The interesting thing is that William Barr is doing this, and it's actually going to hurt the MSNBCs, the CNNs, the Democratic Party apparatus, the public relations machine. Facebook and Twitter are the two biggest culprits. It's not Amazon, it's not Apple, even though those companies have issues, and it's not YouTube. Although the only thing I should say is YouTube is hurting itself with the algorithm, because there's probably tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in profit it could make, in revenue at least, it could make from just not stifling normal everyday speech. It's hundreds of millions of dollars that YouTube can make if it just didn't stifle speech. Like I don't, you can get into it. The thing is, it's really interesting. So William Barr and an antitrust lawsuit. This is really, really, really interesting. Let's see here. It's interesting. Why does Warren exactly? Elizabeth Warren on breaking up big tech. There's no antitrust issues, I don't think, but okay. What's been missing is courage in Washington to take on the giants. I don't want Democrats taking on the same companies that they want to control to spew and publicize their public relations spin on everything. We've had laws out there for a long time to be able to fight back. What's been missing is courage in Washington to take on the giants. It's far too long that some monopolies have been making campaign contributions, super PACs. Oh, here we go. Literally, all of Silicon Valley is almost all is anti-Trump, and almost all is, and we learned this from Project Veritas, and other, they're all, if you are, and it doesn't matter what your background is, if you are conservative, you will get stifled in terms of the message you're trying to communicate. Where I want to start is to want to return government to the people. No, you want to return government to the Democratic Party. And the government to the people, it's like, and that means calling out the names of monopolists and saying, I have the courage to go after them. Very likely, this stems from the belief among Democrats that social media swung the election. If anything, if you want to break up media companies, then break up the 5 or 6 or 8 that control cable news and publications throughout the United States of America. So the largest newspapers and the largest cable companies are controlled by just a few. Those are the monopolies. So we can go into that, but this isn't the case. We're supposed to wake up to the corporations when they're not serving our democracy. This democratic, why didn't Facebook and Twitter serve the democracy? Most of it is a cauldron of anti-Trump contempt. So it's interesting. They get every single possible advantage. Every algorithm for every social media site and every algorithm that actually has to look at a person's political speech is geared towards liberals and the Democratic Party. And now Elizabeth Warren proposes limits on Google, Facebook, and Amazon. It's like the top executives all vote Democrat. So what exactly is it that she doesn't like? This Democrat has to be strong, bold, and progressive. Corporate tech giants Warren's only, she also took aim at drug companies, private. Okay, so very kind of difficult when you didn't support Bernie Sanders when he needed you to, and you just kissed the ring of Madam Secretary in 2016. Who's running again? And she'll run after the third debate, or in between the second and third debate, or after the third debate. So here you go. So U.S. Senator Schumer calls for security probe into. Okay, so they're all at it now, and they're trying to how we can break up big tech. Team Warren. Let's listen to this. This is going to be interesting. By Elizabeth Warren. Today's big tech companies have too much power to over our economy, our society, our democracy. They've bulldozed competition. Well, that used our private information for profit. You're talking about Facebook, and tilted the playing field against everyone else. Conservatives, you mean? How tech companies hurt small businesses. It's like restoring competition. Would appoint regulators committed to reversing illegal anti-competitive tech mergers. This has another. I view this as a power grab by Democrats. They already have all the algorithms in their favor. So it's like now they want even more control, and they want, not only do they want algorithms in their favor, but they want Democrats in Congress to have direct say into what corporations allow. you're probably looking at even more censorship if government gets involved. I could be wrong on this. Give me your thoughts below. That's my initial take. William Barr going into this is probably going to look at this from the conservative viewpoint, saying, hey, wait a second, because Ted Cruz, Matt Gaetz, others have stated that their tweets don't get looked at. Conservatives on Facebook are constantly being suspended simply for not really any offense, just espousing a conservative viewpoint. You saw what happened with Steven Crowder, and one hit piece from like Vox or then it creates an adpocalypse. So he's probably going to come at this from the conservative side. And again, it's not only going to be about social media. It's not only going to be about the algorithm. There are other issues, purely antitrust issues that he's going to look into. This is interesting. This is really interesting. And big tech did it to themselves by aligning too closely to Democrats. And by trying to actually manipulate things to curry favor with Democrats. Give me your thoughts below. Give me your thoughts. William Barr is announcing this. This is very interesting. If he makes things more, if he makes more of a level playing field, it'll be a great thing. But if he allows Democrats to have too much input into this, it'll be a bad thing. Give me your thoughts. Thank you so very much. Mueller probe tomorrow. I'll have my I don't know when, but it'll be after it'll be after the Mueller testimony. Sorry, Mueller testimony tomorrow. I'll have my live stream. I'll have uploads. It'll be a great day tomorrow. Check me out a little later this evening as well. Thank you.